As a truck driver, there's a few things that you need to know when taking a drug test. This right here holds the future in your hands. When you're going to take a DOT drug test, there's several things that you need to be aware of. Passing the drug test is just one thing, and knowing that you can pass the drug test is just one aspect of the process. There's drivers every day that get a refusal, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about possible ways that you can get a refusal. So I'm going to open this cup, and they call the DOT drug test a split specimen. So what a split specimen is that it means that you're going to provide enough for two specimens. So when they send you into the restroom, they tell you to get at least 50 milliliters. When you come out, the first thing and you've got the 50 milliliters, the first thing that they're looking at is whether you have enough. And they're looking at the temperature. If it's blue, if there's a different color than what they're looking for, they're going to say that you have, your temperature is off. They're going to make you go back. And then when you go back, it's going to have to be observed. So make sure that you're not doing anything to adulterate the specimen. Don't take anything that is not the norm in there. Don't take anyone else's urine. Don't take urine that you've heated up, because that will be found in the drug testing collection process. Now, what they do after they get your 55 milliliters, they're going to pour 30 milliliters in bottle A, and they're going to pour 15 milliliters in bottle B. So they need a total of 45 milliliters, and that's what we call a split specimen for DOT. Now, if you do not give enough enough urine on the very first try, they will give you 3 hours and about 40 ounces of water for that time period. Now, here is where the tricky part comes in, because if you don't give enough liquid, then it's a shy bladder situation. They go into shy bladder procedures, which is the 3 hours and drinking 40 ounces of liquid. Now, I'm going to give you an example of a young lady who I recently talked to that was in this very situation, who ended up with a violation in the clearinghouse, ended up having to go through the SAP process with a counselor, get labeled a drug addicted truck driver, because that's ultimately what you get labeled as. And so what happened was, she went into the lab. It was about 3:30. She went to use the restroom, was not able to give the full 45, 50 milliliters that they needed inside the cup. And so they told her, you have 3 hours. Well, they close at 5. So she really only had about an hour to sit there and be able to go again. When she did not go again, she told the lady, hey, you know what? You didn't give me 3 hours. You close in a few minutes. My recommendation is for drivers that are in this situation, call whoever it is that sent you. So if it's a pre-employment, you need to call that company and say, hey, I wasn't able to go, and have them call. They're going to call the person who is called the DER, Designated Employer Representative. That person is going to be the person who makes the decision on whether or not, because they're usually safety or compliance, they've been trained for this type of situation. They're going to make the decision of whether or not you can either come back the next day or however they want to do it. But they're the ones that make the decision. Don't you, which is what this young lady did. They didn't call the employer or the DER. Her and the lady was ready to go home. The lady, she had words. Guess what? That ended up being a refusal, because the lady, the drug testing collector, said she was interrupting the collection process. If you argue with the collector, if you have any type of go back and forth or any that is interrupting the collection process, that's automatically considered a refusal. So her initial shy bladder and not being able to put enough in the cup turned into a refusal because of whatever reason. They had some words, and the collector immediately was like, well, you know what? That's a refusal. I don't even have to have any other further discussion with you. Immediate refusal. So now this driver has to find a substance abuse professional. They have to go through some treatment. They have to go through an evaluation, all because it started because she could not produce enough urine. So it's very important that you as a driver know the process. You need to know that, one, you can't argue with anybody in the collection process. You need to know that too. You have to be able to produce enough. So drink enough before you get there. Do all the things that you need to do to make sure that you produce enough before you get there. If you're in this situation, you have a violation in the FMCSA clearinghouse and you need to get through the return to duty process, you're stuck on step 1. You're stuck on step 5, which is typically the step that everybody is stuck on. Step number 5. Give us a call. Visit our website, www.getoutofprohibited.com, or you can call me at 832-384-5689. You'll get me, Miss Jerry. I'd love to be able to help you. Have a great one.